this is being recorded, Zach. Appreciate it. We'll get this shared out as well. One quick thing I wanted to drop on here is, with BNI team networking. First of all, that's amazing. The gentleman that shared that, especially in California right now with the net metering, that sense of urgency, that deadline. If you've been in BNI, you've done the work. Jeff Hugh just closed 5 deals in one day. Another guy just closed 2 or 3 deals in one day. If you've done the activities that we teach and now you have different deadlines and sense of urgencies, you're going to be so successful. 2 more things. We'll get rocking here. In California, I know not all of you are in California, but if you use this flyer I just put in the chat, you can go to community groups in California, like Yorba Linda, Fullerton, Anaheim, and you can use the magnifying glass and the search button and type solar. Look up every single post in these community groups with 10, 20,000 people and let them know, hey, everyone, April 13th is the deadline. Send some DMs to people that were asking for referrals, to homeowners that were commenting. Like, I swear, anyone that spends some time in these community groups, or of course, you can always just go to Facebook and search hashtag just sold, hashtag buyer's agent, and do the same thing. So it's just so simple with that sense of urgency and the ability to get some free leads and some free ambassadors. So hope you are all executing on those basic things. All right, so I really just wanted to come on here. I'm going to try to be quick, 5-10 minutes, and then I'm really going to open it up for some Q&As and some questions. I want to just frame enterprise the way I see it and give you guys some quick overview, some quick information, show you my enterprise, and that's pretty much it. So I want to start by, I'll share my screen here, but of course I want to start by saying power is in beta enterprise. Okay, keyword beta. It's kind of like even alpha. We're going to be coming out of beta likely probably Q2 sometime, to be honest. And we just got a massive comp plan commissions sheet change. If you go to some jobs and you look up the commission, you can now see the breakdown of the seller, the ambassador, and now for enterprise, it's a lot more broken down. There's lead generator, or the seller, or the enterprise, even the loan rebate. And if you unlock the volume bonus earnings, then there's even some additional income. So one of the major milestones was getting the commissions tab to show all these damn advanced things and figure out, how the heck do we do a volume bonus discount when Mr. Seller only had 2,000 in margin? We had to figure those things out. And Jonathan announced some of those things yesterday on the masterclass. So just wanted to preface this by saying those things. And another thing I want to preface too, we've done this before. When I was on here last time, my brother said it pretty eloquently. Don't overcomplicate this. Like, if just because they're a realtor, broker, or own an HVAC company does not mean they need enterprise. It doesn't. Like, the original $85 plan has worked flawlessly. I've brought in a real estate office as a consultant. They invited their agents to be ambassadors. Some agents decided to upgrade to consultant direct to the office, and it worked flawlessly, guys. It worked fine. And they even had like an assistant or the mentor that was managing the office have their logins to help facilitate some tasks. So I just want to say, just because they're a business owner, just because they do real estate, or they own a pest company, doesn't necessarily mean that they absolutely need to be Seller Pro or Enterprise. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But I wanted to share just a little script here. If you want to screenshot it, great. I could put it into the chat maybe. But I met a few people at a convention. And this guy was a roofer. And they're actually starting to install some solar. So they're a roofer in Maryland. They're starting to install solar. The best thing about Enterprise is, for a roofer or or someone that's maybe doing solar, because they can get approved to install their own roofs with solar using our platform. They're expedited to the front of the list. And it maybe one day, if we need an installer in their area and they've done good work, maybe we could give them some overflow jobs. But more importantly, the real sales pitch is, hey, who do you use for your referrals in Texas, Florida, Carolinas? Like, you have our procurement, our equipment, our GC license, our cost of goods financing, our selling power at your fingertips. You know, maybe you know how to spend 20 grand in advertising per month. Why don't you do that in another market? We're finding that some of these installer companies, sales companies, want to do that. Okay, so that's a little bit of the sales pitch when I discuss enterprise with these people. So I like to give Power Explained in 15 minutes. You know, I bought this URL. I highly encourage you to record your own 10 to 15 minutes, Power Explained, record your own on Zoom, practice. That's mine. I put an hour one that I did on stage with Luigi there. And then I put the Inc. 43 article. Here's how we've been the fastest nationwide growing company 3 years in a row, doing over 325 million revenue last year alone. If you're interested in learning about Power Enterprise, currently in beta, here's a website from our corporate field leader with some great videos, whatisyourredline.com. 2 videos to watch on this site would be Power Enterprise Model for Orgs and Installers, Enterprise Pro Revenue Overview. Also, here is a slide deck for more info on enterprise. I'd love to Zoom with you next week when you have 30 minutes. And this guy and I are meeting next week. Because why not? Why, if you're a roofer, if you're only using a regional installer in SoCal, if you want to branch out, if you want to get off the hamster wheel, if you want to stop selling one day, like, why not use our nationwide platform to achieve all that? And guys, let me tell you, if you go to a convention, like if you go to SolarCon, or you go to that Long Beach convention, I think this next week or so, people are open-minded to it. Like, hey, do you have a provider in 23 states that can do solar roofing? Oh, are you open to putting any leads or referrals in those markets? You ever thought running lead gen in those markets? What if California takes a poo-poo? Or what about having a backup market that you don't currently have? Everyone is saying yes when you ask them these questions. People are hearing the name Power. They're knowing our size and our revenue. So just definitely encourage you to have those high-level conversations. Now I'm going to go into the slide deck. I made this on Google Slides, and I believe there's resources in Power Enterprise knowledge base. So if you want to do that, but I think I have this in viewer mode only. So I'll put it in the chat for you.
There is also a new deck coming out any day now from Power on it. Sam's just finishing up the final touches.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is kind of what I sent them. If you want to, always go to File, make a copy, don't request access. I hate when people do that. Make a copy, do your own thing. Don't ask for access. All right, so we all know that 85 is the normal membership. Power Pro is 175 and Power Enterprise is 350 a month. And you can upgrade and downgrade at any time, right? That's important to note. If someone wants to join us for 85 bucks, you can upgrade later to Enterprise when you think you might need an assistant, when you might have a door knocker that you want to put as a lead generator. If you think you can do 20, 30 sales in a 30-day period, you can upgrade to Enterprise later, right? So, you know, decrease the barriers to entry and get them in the door. We don't have to swing for the fences, and they don't have to apply if they don't need an assistant, if they don't have lead generators, if they don't have a team of 5 sales reps they want to achieve a volume discount, then they don't need Enterprise. If they're not a roofer or a solar installer, they might not need Enterprise. Okay, so I don't mean to downsell this, but let's not overcomplicate it. A lot of the inquiries that Melissa and I get are just like, oh, I have this person, Enterprise, da, da, da. It's like, guys, do they need to seat people, or are they trying to go wide to unlock 40? Do they have an assistant that has to have their own logins? Are they gonna do 30 sales a month? Then they don't need it, okay? So 175 a month, 350 a month, those are the two memberships with some additional features. And let's just dive into those real quick. Some people think, oh, are they still in my lineage? Do I still get revenue share? Are they still below me? Everything is standard. It's no different than a normal seller. There's an account below you. If they sell, you get the standard rev share. If they have someone under them and you got your 5, you will get the standard rev share. So for all intents and purposes, there's no difference. It's just a membership name. Think of it like that. There's no difference. The standard 70-30 split. I'll touch on the volume-based discount, but this is literally then for less than 1% of people out there. Like Melissa said, there's going to be API automation coming where people can import leads. We're going to be seeing drip campaigns. Cami just announced that's freaking badass. We're going to be seeing some CRM automation. So more to come, right? It is beta. We just got the commission tabs updated, which is amazing. And we'll eventually see a little bit more robust white labeling. And one thing I'll just touch on is Power is testing their own proposal tool. When that comes out in Q3 or 4, whenever it comes out, it's not ready. That will provide additional customization for an enterprise to customize what the seller sees. You know, some enterprises, they don't want every seller seeing the $1.80 cost of goods or the $2.10 cost of goods. You know, some of the enterprises are like, damn, you show your guys too much. Or so Power Vision will eventually help resolve that and provide more flexibility around the design tool and what the cost of goods and commission is showing. All right, let me pop this up just a little bit more. So there is a lead generator role that is $25 a month. Think of that like a setter or a door knocker. It's a glorified ambassador. There is a $25 monthly membership for that, and I'll show you how to add a lead generator. And it's kind of nice. They get a little bit of the monies at M1 and at M2. So unlike an ambassador that's free, you have to pay to have a lead generator. You get to define what you pay them, and they get a little bit of money at M1, M2. Seated sellers is for Power Enterprise. The enterprise pays for their $49. It's $49, not $85. Pays for the $49 membership to have a seated seller. So I have about 13 seated sellers. I'll show you here in just a second. Again, don't overcomplicate this, guys. If an enterprise has, you know, pest sales people under them or realtors under them or solar salespeople in their office, they've got an office, a team, they're providing resources, swag, you know, they may want to seat that seller and pay for their membership fee. And when you have a seated seller, there's a little more flexibility. You can get them to mentor quicker. Their sales will help go towards the volume bonus if that is achievable. And a key thing to say here, seated sellers don't count towards unlocking the standard 40 lineage, the 6 tiers. It's a total separate category. So if you're trying to get to 10 active, 20 active, 30 actives to unlock your tiers, seated sellers don't count towards that standard unlocking. There's a support role like an assistant, and then there's a more robust support role called manager. Those are $25 a month. I have 2 managers to my enterprise. One is my personal project manager that my brother and I have hired, and one is my girlfriend Janice. So they can go in, put leads in, assign closers. They can move my jobs along. They can see my pay. They can update my spreadsheets. They can do a whole bunch of stuff for me. And yeah, I'm going to keep going here. Enterprises can adjust what they offer when they do a lead. Okay, now again, most people don't use this. I actually prefer the 50-50 mentor. I don't lead offer to tier 2 or tier 3 in the company. I'd rather just use the 50-50 split. But for all intents and purposes, if you are Enterprise or Seller Pro, you can offer leads to anyone in the platform, tier 2 or tier 3, and you can define the split. You know, I could offer my boy Sean 40% and I take 60% because I have my assistant Ashley helping on the post sale. So that takes some weight off of Sean because my referrals are such good quality that I can take 60 and he'll gladly take 40. An enterprise can choose to either keep the loan rebate when they lead offer or keep half of the loan rebate or let the seller keep the loan rebate. So one little caveat there, when you offer a lead, you can choose what to do with the loan rebate. Okay, and I know this is a lot of info. It's taken me months and months to get this competency with some of these things. I got a few more things and then we'll open it up to Q&A. As I said, no different. The standard revenue share applies on everything. If it's a seated, a normal recruit, the normal 6 tiers, you have to unlock those with qualified consultants. Again, not seated sellers do not go into this equation. That's the only difference. Everything else, standard rules apply. There is something called volume-based pricing. If an enterprise and its seated sellers can achieve 15 sales in a 30-day period, 30 sales in a 30-day period or more, you can get an extra 2.5% being paid to the enterprise or 5% being paid to the enterprise. And again, this is a very, very small minority of people that, you know, can achieve this. It's a good problem to have if you can get an enterprise that can unlock additional revenue share. Now, I'm just going to give you one small detail here. Right now, I'll show you. This is my enterprise. I'm at the bottom here under the enterprise setting where it says earnings, and I click comp plan. I don't want to show you that I've made millions in my ledger, so I'm going to show you comp plan only. And if you scroll down here, you can see I have 37 sales in the last 30 days. Where does that put me? I'm getting an extra 5% right now. And I can go down and see, you know, who of my seated sellers have sold personal deals. Personal, not closing other people's deals, but personal deals. These are my seated sellers, and I have 37. So what does that mean? When I have unlocked this amount of sales and unlocked a little extra revenue, if this job pays the M1, it locks in at M1. 2.5% will come to me after M2. 5% will come to me after M2. So again, if you've unlocked additional volume to your bonus, if you can do so many sales in a rolling 30-day period, when the projects pay M1 for the enterprise or its seated sellers, this additional revenue is locked in at that moment, and you will receive some additional revenue later. And I'm almost done here. In this slide deck that I share with potential recruits, just as a speaking point, I know this is going to get refined more. We got a new deck coming, but I just like to express that there's stock options here, right? One of the 5 income streams that's super important that differentiates us, you know, let alone the loan rebate, which you really got to go into hard with enterprise guys. You really have to, because if they're looking at Titan or Freedom Forever, their dealer fees are freaking 33%, 37%, like a year ago, because they're keeping 3 to 5%. And Power's now giving us 1.5%. So when they're looking at some stupid red line model, well, I can do this and make this. Well, do you have the loan rebate? Did you get stock options? Can you sell a deal at $2.06 a watt and make $7,000 commission on your 2.3 red line? You know, all the different things you want to express to them. And that big one is the stock options. So depending on if they can achieve so many installs in their first year, or they bring someone on that achieves an install, they're going to get stock options. And man, if we go public in 2 or 3 years, guys, our stock's going to be 30, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, who knows where this rocket ship is going. All right, so I'm just going to end here with showing a few things of my enterprise, and then we'll jump to the Q&A. So enterprise, again, like you all have this sales part up here. The only difference is enterprise gets this. That's it. So I can look at my teams, my seated seller, and my enterprise's projects. In here, leads, qualified. I can see who's made proposals for my enterprise and my seated sellers. So Paul and Tiffany and Corey are working on some proposals. I can see some contracts for my seated sellers and myself. And I can actually help go in, like I can go into my boy Tom here in Vegas. I can go into this job and I can see, hell yeah, contract signed, permit approved. So if you have seated sellers, you can see some of their job under the projects. Earnings, I showed you, there's a ledger that I won't show you, and then there is the comp plan if you're unlocking. Team is an important one. This is where you can look at your current teammates and you can seat them or add a staff role. But more importantly, you could add a new team member. So name, number, email. If you want to seat them, pay that monthly fee. You can seat them. You can allow them to recruit, or you can decline them to recruit. And now you have a seated seller directly under you. You can make that seated seller also, in addition, you could make them a manager, a support, or a lead generator. But you know, if I got my glorified door knocker, I want to get $1,500 a deal to, I can pay $25 a month and make him a lead generator. Or if I got my manager and my assistant, then I can do that as well. So that's under team. I'm going to go to account. And here you can see I'm paying for $350 for my enterprise. I have seated some people here. And guys, I just want to say I'm over 50 active wide on my front line, not including my seated. Okay, so you don't want to go out and seat people and pay their memberships and then now you're not getting the 10 or 20 on your front line, right? Again, don't overcomplicate it. I'm getting a little advanced, more than I should, but I'm paying my enterprise and I'm paying a fee here because I'm paying $1,300 a month because I'm getting that volume tier bonus, which gives me some additional money that I can reinvest in my team and events and different things like that. And then lastly here under settings, I'm not going to go into this crap. I don't even look at this stuff. It's honestly not super important, but you could, if you offer a lead, there's a default. If you have a lead generator, there's an amount. There's some minimum margins. I like to have my people allowed to be able to recruit others. And if you have a seated seller, like I said, you can change their mentorship requirement. And then if I offer self-generated finance rebate, that's the loan rebate. So if one of my seated sellers self-generates a project, I want them keeping the finance rebate. I don't want to take that finance rebate. But if I offer them a lead, like my boy Sean, 60% to me, 40% to him, I want to keep the finance rebate. Again, because I have an assistant, my referrals are freaking gold. So that's kind of how I've structured this a bit. I probably went more advanced than I should have, Melissa, but let's go ahead and pause and see if we can just get into questions now and wrap this
You
up.
did great. Thank you so much for that. So let's start with questions. I had promised Jimmy first round on question because he's had his hand up since the beginning. Jimmy, what do you still have your question?
Yes, I do. And thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Jonathan. Great presentation there. I just wanted to, I had a few questions that I wanted to dig in for a little bit of detail, and it kind of goes to what you were talking to. You addressed a little bit with like post-sale and things like that. So what I was wondering is, like, I was kind of looking for, so if I bring on, say, a real estate agent, and we're gonna and they're gonna send us referrals, or if they're gonna sell and they you know, they just want to, they don't want to, how do I say this? They want to have a mentor say, they want me to close for them, right? So, and I'm just kind of wondering, like, what, since it's a 50-50 deal, what should I be expecting that person to do, and what should I do? Like
Jimmy,
post sale and all that type of stuff.
what membership are you paying for right now, Jimmy?
Right now I have Enterprise Pro.
Okay, are you a tier 3 in the system?
I am
hold on,
not.
Jimmy, why don't you clarify that? Are you a Power Pro or an Enterprise? Remember when John
Right.
showed us those 3 categories? Are you in the middle, or are you on the end one?
No, I'm on the end. I'm actually
Okay.
Enterprise Pro, the 350
Nice.
plan.
Okay.
So I think you kind of had 2 questions in there. So if you bring on a realtor, Jimmy, you got a few options. You can bring him in as an ambassador. That's free. That's $1,000. You could bring him in as a lead generator. That's $25 a month on your bill.
Mm-hmm.
You can change change how much you pay them, or you could seat them if they really want to take a training and get skin in the game and do a lot more. So do you know which one of those you would want to do for that realtor?
Yeah, well, kind of what I wanted to do was get somewhere between an ambassador and a seller. Like, they don't really want to do any work, but I was gonna do their database marketing for them, kind of
Nice.
a done for you solution. I have the software, my copy's all done, and
Love
now
it.
I just need to figure out what is the best way to do that. And I was going to pay them not per lead, but per close. So any lead that closes, they'll get paid. The leads, they don't get anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jimmy, like, one idea would be, hey, Mr. Realtor, normally we pay $500 to $800. I can get you $1,000 per close. I'll get you a gift card every time an appointment sits with me. And if you do 5 of those, we can talk about the next level. And like, then you upgrade him to lead generator. Then you're paying $25 a month.
Okay.
Then he's earning more. So I would always say, and this is sales 101, guys, like, you notice what I did there, right? Hey, normally it's this, I can get you this. How does that sound? And after we do this, then we can get you more. So again, try leaning into that. But if you want, Jimmy, you could also just go directly to lead generator as well. So it just depends.
Yeah, just to give them a trial to make sure they're going to be productive, if it's worth adding them as a lead gen. And
yeah,
so,
I would definitely I'd give them a trial. I've often sat people and then they didn't do shit. So
okay.
I really like Jonathan's approach there, you know, like,
yeah,
first see if they'll perform and, you know, wave a little carrot in front of them.
Right, exactly.
and so if we
In either
what
of those
about the
scenarios,
realtors that you bring on? So like, I saw a video with you and you said you brought them on as a seller, but like, you do your team, or you give them to people on your team to close as mentor sales or something?
right. So I call it the 1-2 pitch. Hey, Mr. Realtor, we got the $1,000. It's free. It's great. Or for $85 a month and a 5-hour training, is what I normally say, you can earn 50% commission per referral. You got to get the info, get the bill, and then pick a closer. So which one of those sounds more important to you? Are you the hungry entrepreneur? Is real estate dipping right now? Do you want the more skin in the game? Are you going to kick ass, or you just want the 1,000? And let them decide and do the takeaway. It's the best thing. It's the best thing ever.
Okay. And when we do the 50-50, how much work are they doing, and what is your team doing? That's that's the only thing now that you've clarified. The other things I'm a little unclarified. So like,
Yeah.
when I have them get the bill, all of that stuff, set an appointment, and then the mentor closes the deal and does the post-sale customer experience.
So we're getting just slightly off from enterprise. It's still kind of enterprise, but definitely continue this convo with your mentors and your leadership. So
I don't have any.
Oh, well, we have some office hours sprinkled throughout the week you can attend. But real quick, Jimmy, and then we'll move on to Bill. If it's really up to the mentor or the sponsor to have that upfront communication with that realtor. Do you want to get the info, get the bill, and let your client know that they're going to have a 30-minute Zoom and don't do anything else? Great. I'll let the mentor know that that's how you want to do this, and they will communicate everything. Do you want to learn? Do you want to be on the Zoom? Do you want to see some of the back end so you could one day do it? Most people are going to say, no, I don't want them actually doing that. I want them to stay in their lane. I don't want them communicating with the clients. I actually want realtors to join us and pass the leads to my closed mentors and not do a damn thing. Now,
okay.
Someone over the weekend thought, well, they ask me for things or they're not helping. And it's like, you're making 50%. Like, they don't have to do a damn thing, in my opinion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Right on, Jimmy.
And Jimmy, do you know who brought you into Power?
Yeah, I don't want to say his name, but like, he focuses 90% on sales, and I've gotten the name of, everyone in the leadership, and I'm a month and a half now, and I hadn't, nobody in my team like has any onboarding, any training, anything like that. So like, I've been bouncing around to Jonathan's training and YouTubing, and I found a lot of his resources, useful. And of course, I've been setting up my system, getting my copy done and all for the database marketing that I was going to do. So it hadn't been a problem, but now I have realtors, loan officers on the hook that are ready to go. And so I just needed to figure out how to seat them.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's the great thing about the Power platform, is that it has a ton of leaders that are all here to support anybody. That's why we have these forums, with bringing on Jonathan Bernasso and such, because we want to help everyone in Power to succeed. So thank you for coming here today, Jimmy, and asking your questions. Bill.
Thank you.
Had your hand up very patiently. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Hey, John, thank you so much for your transparency and showing what's going on in enterprise, in your enterprise. I did notice that you had, for example, Paul Leon and Cynthia Alvidrez as seated sellers there. They have their own organization, right? So are you seating them because you're providing a lead so that they can close it as a seated seller in your organization? Number one, because they have their own business, right? And they're building their own organization. And then number two, if you click on that they can recruit people, are they recruiting them into your enterprise, or would they be recruiting them into their own business, which is what they would be doing, right? I mean, obviously. Right. So you would that probably wouldn't be something that you'd click on for them to recruit into your enterprise.
Well, it's very,
that,
yeah. So this will be a little advanced, but when I do seat like Cynthia and Paul, who I've known for 12 years, I pay their monthly fee, so they no longer have to pay $85. And some of their personal sales will go towards my volume tier bonus. So because I'm 40 wide and now I can have seated sellers, then I'm my next goal after I achieve that was to go after a volume tiered bonus. So that's part of the reason why I did it. It saves them $1,000 a year. My seated sellers, I give more attention to. They could use my offices, and those are the ones I look to give referrals to first. So it's kind of a give and take. Now, I just want to say real quick that I let them recruit. They can build organizations. They have teams. Cynthia has a giant team, but just because she's seated to me doesn't change a single thing. And then the last answer, Bill, is technically they could recruit someone that is a seated. So we do allow 2 levels of seated. So I'll give you one example where I use that. My girlfriend Janice is seated to me. I'm talking to a contractor. I don't got time to help them. I might seat them 2nd level to Janice. So Janice is going to get a little revenue share and she gets to help them. And then it rolls up to me as well. So there's only 1 or 2 unique scenarios, Bill, where a second seated, and it makes sense. If that answered your question.
I do also want to clarify one thing there, Bill, because I don't want people to be confused. You asked Jonathan if he seats them so he can assign them a lead. It's very important that everybody understands you do not need to seat a seller to assign them a lead. So Jonathan can go assign a lead to JC Rangel because even though he's not in his enterprise.
Yeah, without seating him.
Yes. So a lot of people misunderstand that. A lot of people think they have to seat a seller to assign them a lead, and that is not the case.
Well, okay, so if I could just make it a little, expand a little bit on that, then.
You just want to complicate it a little more.
Oh, no, it's
Well,
okay.
I just for some of the clarifications, we're beta here, so I know a lot of things changed. But so when you sign, let's take Cynthia. Okay, you sign Cynthia as a seated seller. She still has her position in Power, right? I mean, she still is her relationship to Power as she signed up. But then she no longer, if you seat her as the seller, she no longer is required to pay her annual
Monthly $85 fee.
or monthly $85 fee. She's kind of basically moved over, and her relationship to Power is taken care of as far as her dues and everything else through your seated seller position that you pay $25 for. Whether you charge that back to her or not is your call. All of that stuff, but she's now moved into the position of seated seller related to you. Still has her organization. She's recruited 150 people over time, and they're still in her business, and nothing changes there. It's just
so Bill, just to help you understand it, it's real simple. It's just a matter of who's paying the bill. So if they're seated, the enterprise pays the bill. If they're a single user, it's on their credit card.
Yeah,
Exactly, but everything else is the same.
If I may say something, interrupt to talk about Bill, what Bill asked Jonathan. So Cynthia, so if you give Cynthia a deal and she closes it, even if she has her Empower account, does that deal go toward her personal sales or no? That particular deal.
It's who puts the lead in. That's the personal sales.
All right, so that would go toward your personal sales.
Yes.
Just the same. Remember, everything's following the same Power comp plan. It's the exact same. Single user, if they're paying their monthly membership, they put in a lead, that's theirs. Single user, they're paying their monthly membership. Bob puts in the lead, assigns it to Joe. Whoever puts the lead in, that's who it's attached to as the ownership of the lead.
and she can put her own lead in as a seated seller.
Exactly. Yeah,
So-
it's business
so-
as usual, Bill. I'm just
Yeah.
literally paying her membership.
Right.
Everything
perfect.
else is the same with our.
Got it all clear
So then-
as mud. Thank you.
So then maybe to help my team get more deals, it might be better to go enterprise and seat like 10 or 15 of my guys and just give them all leads. And
You
then
can do
maybe,
that, anybody right now, you can give your guys leads right now as a single user, as anything. You just either assign it. If you're a single user, you will assign your leads to your team
Tier 3.
as a mentor, a tier 3. If you're an Enterprise Pro account, you'll assign the leads as a lead offer to them. So there's no need to, again, the only difference between a seated seller and a non-seated seller is who's paying the bill? And then again, Gustavo, you have to remember, if you decide to seat your sellers, they no longer count towards your first generation. So you kind of think of enterprise as a box. They're out here outside the box. They count as your first line to you. You put them in the box, no longer count towards your first line.
I'll
Toward the
answer that.
residual, toward the residual.
I'll answer that one more way, and then I'll go to Chris, Gus. The
Yeah,
only time you would want to upgrade to enterprise is to lead off for tier 2s in power. Like, let's say your guys aren't tier 3 yet. They should be. Make them do 5 deals before you give them.
I got a couple, but
You're not even going to trust them until they get there. But let's just pretend your heart's so big and you want to give them leads and they're tier 2.
yeah, yeah.
Then you upgrade to enterprise and then you just lead off for them. No need to seat, no need to do anything else. Like,
Okay, gotcha.
yes.
Now
Okay.
that has to be the third enterprise, not the pro. It has to be
Seller
the
Pro can do that too, yeah.
Seller Pro, yeah.
seller pro.
Yeah, and guys, my twin brother Chris typed questions in the chat. He's the #1 recruiter of enterprises
Chris, what's up?
next to Charles Thompson. So he's answering
Yo, yo,
questions
yo.
down there. All right, let's do Chris here and let's try to keep it to 10 minutes. We got Chris, Brad, Jerry, and John. Go for it, Chris.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for doing this. I promise you my question's not as in depth. And Melissa kind of already touched on it. So really just going to confirm my question. I have a seated seller in my Enterprise Pro account, the 350. She's bringing somebody on and I've got a email requesting to seat that person. So what I just heard you say, Melissa, was if you seat them, you pay for them. So if I seat that person, I'm paying for that person?
Yeah, if you do a second level seated, you are paying the membership for that, Chris, which is $49
Okay.
a month. Their personal sales would be added into your volume tier bonus if you're going to try to get to that. One little caveat, if you have no relation with this person, if you unlock a volume tier bonus, a little bit less rev share will float up to the person above them. So that makes sense?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, if they're gracious that you're paying the membership fee and the person above them is, if you achieve that, then a little bit less rev share, then groovy gravy, like let's seat them. But in general, I don't like to seat my seconds
Neither do I.
unless it's specific. So yeah, yeah, go for it, Chris.
What am I
yeah, I was just-
missing?
Sorry, can I say something real quick? I was just going to say that some of my seated sellers sometimes get confused and they will send the enterprise join link to their people to join under them. And I have to tell them, no, don't use that link. Use the normal seller join link.
Okay.
That will be able to recruit people under them that will pay for themselves. Unless they've told me, hey, I've got a rock star. Can we seat him and pay? They're really good. Then maybe I'll consider it, but normally not.
Okay, that's what I think happened. Thank you, Chris. I think she sent the wrong link, which is why I was asking, because the intention was not to seat them and pay for them.
Yeah, so make sure they're sharing the standard seller
Seller
join
join.
and not the enterprise seller join.
Okay. All right, awesome. Thanks. That's it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Great question. Brad, you're up next.
Thank you, guys. I had other questions, but I do have one more follow-up on this recruitment thing. You seat the seller underneath you and they self-generate their own lead. So they get to keep the full 70%, 70-30 revenue split themselves, right?
100%.
And then,
If the enterprise has it that way. So some of the enterprises that I work with that are mortgage companies, since they're paying their membership and they're paying and doing this thing, they keep a little bit of the self-gen, and you can do that in the settings style. Remember, Jonathan.
can you show that? Can you show that? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, good call, Melissa. So yeah, you can change the default of 70-30 there, Brad. So if I wanted all my seateds to only get 65 on their self-gen and I get 30, or power keeps 35, but the org keeps 5, you can do that.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you. That's very helpful.
And another
Okay.
thing that I've had a lot of and I know that I can see on here, we have some mortgage people on here. So I'm going to use this example, is that they seat their sellers, and because until we get the API feature in, they're having their sellers put in the leads, but they're actually providing the leads. So they move it over and they take all of the money and then they pay their separately. Just a little.
So thank you. My main question was, I just spoke with a new rep I brought on just this week. He's a Redline dealer. Sorry, he's an enterprise dealer, but comes from the world of Redlines, and he has his own reps under him. So his question to me, and I'm going to try to articulate it like how he put it to me. He gets a Redline, let's say at 250 a watt. He says to his rep, I'll give you a Redline of 270. Whatever you sell above it, you keep. When I explained the power cost of goods sold, he thought it was less control for how much he was getting, or the reps. It was more confusing for his reps how much money they're going to be making at the end. So,
Yeah.
How would you explain, that? Or
Yeah, that's a toughie, Brad, and my brother can go in more. So you really have to have a consultative meeting with that person and ask them, are your guys self-generating more, or are you giving them leads more? Right. So a lot of these companies might 70% of their revenue might come from them giving the leads versus the self-gen. And then you have to break down an example, like you give a lead, you can lead offer, you make this much, and you keep the loan rebate, and you get the revenue share. So you have to like show them an example of how much they would make. And Chris does that really well. I think he's kind of trying to build a calculator. I know Sam and Ryan are trying to build a calculator when we met with Sam last from Enterprise. So yeah, a calculator to help define that. But you do have to chunk out, like if you keep 5 to 10% more, if you get the loan rebate, if you get the revenue share, then you're making the same. And another big piece of that, Brad, is like really lean into like, hey, whatever, Susan, you have 7 reps right now. Do you ever want to grow a team in other states? Do you ever want to expand in ways that you never thought possible? Do you want your people bringing in realtors? Like, yes, some of your growth, you're getting 60 cents on your people raping them. We're going to recruit them if you don't come to join us, right? Once they see what they can sell with power, you're going to lose them. So you really want to hit into these talking points when you're showing them this, and bring up an example like, look, I just sold a 20 kilowatt in California at $2.60 a watt. Your guy wouldn't even be able to sell it at that. And I made $6 grand and you would have made $3 grand as the enterprise. So when you show them examples, when you ask the right questions, and then you show them the amounts and you paint the picture, that's kind of the approach I've been going. And then Power Vision will make it even better so that they can show the reps what they want them to see, but we're not quite there yet.
Another thing that I have found really helppful, like I just onboarded a new big dealer program people. They want to do 4,000 installs this year. We're having a hard time wrapping their head around a non-Redline model. So with their whole sales team, we pulled up Solo and showed them. So you go to Solo, do cash, so we're not putting dealer fees in there. And then I'm like, so don't think of Redline, think of profit per watt. So everything the Power model does is profit sharing. So you as the enterprise owner, the solar broker dealer says, I want to profit share this much. When I take people through Solo and I take them into the adders and I show them how to do the adders and decide how much profit per watt, then I take them over into the pricing, they are blown away. So all of a sudden they're like, God, I'm so anti-power because it's 70-30 split, but my goodness, I can make so much more money with this profit sharing, profit per watt, transparent cost of goods model. So don't be afraid to show people Solo like that. People get blown. And if somebody tells you that they use Solo, chances are they don't use the version that Power has spent, 4 to 5 years robustly building out. So show them that and help them understand that part. The only
Okay.
thing I'd say is, Chris, did you want to add anything in there? Chris Bernasso?
No, I think he's good.
So the last follow-up question on that, with the cost of goods, just what you explained, they asked me this. So does that seated seller see your enterprise company's profits? So are they good? So you know, when you split it with a ambassador, I'm sorry, not ambassador, a mentor, you're going to say they get 50%, you get 50% is very clear. They were concerned if because they want to do a 30-70 split right now with, they're going to keep 70 and give their reps 30%. So they're concerned that their reps are going to see this and they're on the leads that they're providing, and they're going to be like, wow, you guys are keeping that much money. Like that's
Their
not fair.
reps with the and they need to, this is what Jonathan was just saying, is you got to get to in their head, because first off, I always sell everybody on the fact that Power flipped the model, keeps 30% and gives it 70% back to the rep. So it's really ironic that this same people want to keep 70% and give only 30% to the rep. But
Yeah.
if they're going to hide it, they can. Like, they can just give the person a solo link, but not give them ability to see the money on the side. But eventually they're going to find out about Power. They're going to watch one of Jonathan Bernasso's videos. They're going to see how much money that their people are keeping from them. So they really want to be careful if they want to hide things, because that is going against like the core of Power. Like, we call it transparent cost of goods model, not hide.
Yeah,
Jonathan?
they're gonna see the margin in solo, and then it's up to the office to let them know, hey, you're gonna make 30% of 70%. So if the commission is $7,000, $2,100 is to you, and I take the rest. So yeah, but you know,
If
I would
not,
tell,
they're having to, like, they'd have to like seat like a manager, an assistant manager, goes into solo, makes all the adjustment, and then just gives them just the link. So they can't adjust the adders, but it's only a matter of time before they figure out that their people are.
yeah, Brad and I would push back on the office and say, dude, to get the info, to schedule it, there's not going to be sits, then to sit, then to follow up post sit 8 times, get the sale. 1 or 2 out of 10 are going to not make it to install, to push for ambassadors on those clients, to do the post sale homework and headaches, and like fucking 30%, get out of here. Just my advice.
And if they do that, somebody like Bernasso or myself is going to go recruit their people.
Right. I mean, we had a whole
Those
conversation
people are going to
about
be like,
this
why don't
because
I get the 70%?
I think one of the biggest benefits of Power is the fact that once you come into Power, it creates an environment you want to stay in. Whereas this other environment where people want to jump from company to company to company, there's no loyalty. It's kind of like the same, that was happening with Redline companies too. Because I used to be a solar installer and I used to offer Redlines. And it was like, I could offer $250 a watt for a Redline. My competitor would offer $240 and my client would jump ship.
Right.
So it's like, what am I going to race to the bottom and offer $230 now? Like that, how does that work as a business?
Just help them open their mindset. You know, they're really in a limited belief of a model. Help them see that there's other models out there. All right, we technically
Thank
are
you very
at
much.
normally I have a hard cutoff, but because we did have a guest speaker on here today, and I want to make sure the 2 people that have their hands raised, after that, no more hands raised. So Jerry.
Yeah, I owe Jerry some time, and we'll connect offline too, Jerry, if we need to. But go ahead and unmute, my friend. There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you guys for taking my call. I really appreciate it. And I must say this enterprise Zoom meeting over the last month or 2 has been really fantastic. And I still have questions, knowing that this is beta. I'm sure everybody here has questions. So listening to you, Jonathan, you are the enterprise guy, bringing in tons of people, versus what I'm doing is a little bit different. I'm bringing in a few large enterprise companies to join the system. I have a guy on right now. Jason is on here right now. If you just want to raise your hand, Jason, he just joined last week. He's got a nice size operation, and I've got a lot more that I'm bringing on board. Now, My goal is to help Jason sell his first 10 or 20 deals. And what I'm doing is I'm going from a power seller to a power pro, so I could share it with 1 or 2 or 3 other guys to help sell it. And when he understands it, he'll sell it himself. And the question is, I guess, as somebody bringing him on board, there's not going to be any stock options for me unless I actually help sell the systems for him. Is that how that works, or no stock options?
Our standard stock option applies that if you bring in someone to the company on their first install, you will get options. So that's no different.
Okay, so afterwards he's on his own and we don't get stock options.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and number 2 is Power Pro, which I'm gonna turn that on. It'll allow me on his behalf or anybody's behalf that I bring on board, if I want to share it with whomever, I can do that very easily with the Power Pro. So if I'm currently, I do it a little bit different here, guys. I actually prefer doing the front end of the business proposition, and the guy who I do it with, he does the back end, because we know there's a lot of work. But now I'm going to be picking it up a little bit, bringing on new enterprises. And I think the Power Pro allows both of us to look at the money coming into, my side of the equation, and we get paid from Power directly. Instead of me having to talk offline with my partner, I'm trying to make it very easy. Would that be I hope I'm not complicating this, but would that be the best way to do this?
I'm trying to see the direct question that's in there, Jerry.
Okay.
It's not making sense.
With the Power Pro, which is what I'm going to get right now, and if I share it with somebody else.
Real quick, why are you getting that?
Well, I just thought from the accounting point of view, it would be a lot easier than me assigning a mentor or what have you. I'm not going to do the sale by myself only. And I could do it. I'm quite capable, but I prefer not to do it. I like to share it with somebody else.
Right. I just want to maybe say there that you can obviously tag a tier 3 today, and the accounting, the 50/50 is all done for you, and the loan rebates 50/50. The only thing you're going to get with Seller Pro is the ability to lead offer and define a split, or have a lead generator, or have a manager.
So in other words, let's say for the sake of the conversation, the enterprise take his 50%, I get the other 50, and I can give the person who's helping me 30, less than half if I want to do that. That's the only difference. I can identify how much I want to pay the seller who's working with me. That's the only difference then.
That's one of the benefits. Yeah.
Okay. So that's really, I'm kind of not looking at it like we're all talking here. I'm more of like focused in on bringing in a dozen large enterprise people.
So you can bring in as many enterprises as you want without ever having to have an enterprise account.
Right. That's what I'm thinking right now, and let them, like,
and
Jason's
the only
on
difference,
board.
remember, everybody, between everything, you got a single user. They assign leads out to a mentor. If you upgrade to Power Pro, you now can assign the lead out and decide the percentage. So if you don't want to do the 50/50 mentor split, if you want to do 40/50, then you get a Power Pro, because now you're going to lead offer at a different than a standard 50/50. In addition to that, you can offer the lead to a tier 2. It doesn't have to be a tier 3, but I'm a firm believer, just like Jonathan said previously, make them earn it.
Absolutely.
Make them earn it.
Yeah, Jerry, and I'm here to bring on a few big enterprises. My brother's brought on 10 huge enterprises, so we're right here with you. The conversation is the same here.
Maybe, and maybe I'll end it. Jason is a good guy. He's on board right now, and maybe we'll all have a conversation at one point. But that's really my goal. Keep it simple. If I'm only making 6% on the back end, but you have 1,000 people selling, what's the difference? You can only do so much yourself. This is what I think is the best pathway.
Great. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank
See
you
on
so
here
much
next
for your time.
week. John Ricker, you are the last question.
And one more thing, this whole notion of lead offering 60%, 40%, or keeping the loan rebate. If you want the best closers with updates, follow-up, post-sale, unless you have gold referrals like me and an assistant on the back end, like the 50-50 guys is truly the best. You get what you pay for time and again. Okay. So don't let that little $1,000 sway you to go upgrade and go lead offer. Like
It reminds me of a saying that my dad always told me: pigs stay happy, hogs get slaughtered. Because if you're only like, if you're going to offer these people at 40%, but then they can go over and get a lead from Jonathan Bernasso at 50%, you're not going to get a relationship with those sellers. So,
yeah.
All right. We're really quick on time here. So it's John Ricker, and then we got to end it. Sorry, Gustavo, you already had your moment on the spotlight.
Type in the chat.
To do.
Oh, I got
Message
a
my
question,
brother.
which is probably just the opposite of what you guys are just mentioning. And what I'm thinking of is being aggressive and giving the ambassadors good amounts, everybody a good amount, and keeping everything to a minimum for me, at least in the beginning, to get the best people, to bring people over from other companies, which I know that would like to have the best deal for both being mentors and ambassadors or lead
And
generators.
for time's sake, we just got to get to the question. What's the question?
Yeah.
How flexible can we be like on the
All right,
say the
Bobby.
ambassador? Can we be a super ambassador, for example? Like give them $3,000 or something.
You can pay it out of your own pocket, John, or if you have a seller pro or enterprise, you can add them as what's called a lead generator and pay $25 a month. We touched on earlier. You can define the amount, but you can, so it's up to you, ambassador and additional, or get them into the lead generator.
So whatever the case may be, if it's not within your rules, we can pay out of our own pocket for anything.
I didn't hear a
No,
thing.
it's your money. You do whatever you want.
Yeah, because we want to bring in the best and probably give them a stock option out of our own company, because we're a publicly traded company. And so what we want to do is draw everything, as many good
Power
people-
is a fulfillment platform. You can own your own company and you can offer whatever your heart desires for your own company, but Power is a fulfillment platform. So you do you on your own company.
Excellent.
I just want to say
I'll-
thank you, Melissa, for doing these meetings, being a leader, getting it on Power Calendar. We need more of that. We're seeing more of that. You know,
Thank you,
taking the
Melissa.
ownership here. Big thank you to Melissa for doing this. It's been super fun, and I can't wait to do this maybe again in a few weeks as well.
Yes, and then
Please.
one last closing thought, market development meetings, please. If you are ready to step it up and be a leader, make sure you're attending those meetings. If you're ready to grow your local markets, join those meetings. And then lastly, tomorrow, Building with Bobby, 9 a.m. PST, noon EST.